Hello viewers, once again, Maxwell J Media. Like I said earlier on, today we are in Vicenza and we are having interaction with the Chancellor of UBCS. And by God's grace, we have one of who was also a former student. Sir, we welcome you to Maxwell J Media.
Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Theophilus O, and I'm from, let's say my father is from Okwapim and my mom from Eburi.
Okay, so most likely it's Ekwapim. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, great.
And in Okwapon, I'm from the Kufu family. Yeah. And then also from Eburi, I'm from the line of the Nana Osai.
Great. So you are from the royal family.
Yeah.
Oh, that is great. That is great.
Yeah.
So he's not just a reverend or an apostle, but he's also from the royal family.
You remember that Jesus Christ himself was a royal.
Great,
From
great.
the lineage of David. Yeah. So it's great to be that, to be called when you are royal, because you enjoy grace from both sides. You know. And I'm married to Mrs. Rebecca of Sarpong, and we have a great number of children.
Mama Rebbe, God
Yeah.
bless you. I can see your handwork on the great man of God. Mama, God bless you. In fact, right after the interview, I'm coming home. God bless you, Mama.
Yeah, so when I came to Europe, I first went to Germany. I think the land was not there for me.
Were you a pastor right from Ghana, or you became a pastor here in Europe?
No, I was a very active church worker from Ghana, but I was not a pastor.
Okay.
But later on, by the grace of God, I had an experiential encounter with Jesus Christ, and I got born again. And when I came to Europe, actually the purpose was just to come and find a green pasture. But I met my calling here. And I discovered that a lot of people in ministry in Europe they have been called, but the knowledge as to how things ought to be done is a problem. And a lot of ministers who are even managing ministries have serious problems with.
Oh, viewers, did you hear that? A lot of ministers managing ministries. I will come back to you, but let me ask my daddy, should ministry be managed? Should ministers manage ministries?
Oh yes, of course. There is management in ministries considered administration. All right. But the problem is the understanding of what is an administration or administration work. It's not there. A lot of them, just as the lecturer was saying, they did not understand. So they managed the ministries from their own perspective and their own understanding, and things were wrong. Yeah, so it's as if the word management that he brought up is as if they were hanging in there. Yeah. So that is it.
So what our father said is like, you know, they were playing lotto. Let me use it that way. They were try and error. You know, they were trying. So back to you, sir. As a lecturer, how has the journey been right from when you were enrolled in the school till graduation and till where God have brought you now?
Okay, let me go a little back before I come to your point. You see, the ministry that I was in, I discovered that we don't even have one minister who had gone to Bible school.
The entire ministry, no one.
So everybody was dependent upon grace.
Okay.
Without knowledge. And so you build with the grace and destroy with the lack of knowledge, you know.
Viewers, you build with grace and you destroy with lack of knowledge. Please, whatever you are doing, share this video. Send it to an elder in your church. Send it to your pastor, your bishop, so that we can all be beneficiary of this great interview. Back to you once again, sir.
Yeah, so I discovered that when God created Adam and Eve and planted them in the garden, Bible says he was visiting them in the coolness of the day. I believe that there was a purpose for those visitations. And those visitations, I think, was for the purpose of teaching them how to manage and keep the garden. In the case of Abraham, God said, you are going on a journey that you are not, I'm the only one who knows and who will direct you. But I will be with you every step of the way. When you think deeply about that one, it's about training. You see, so Moses, when God gave him the 70, God gave him instructions, said, teach them the ways of the Lord and the way things ought to be done. This is what is lacking in ministry today. People can read the Bible and interpret it well, but as to how to manage church and people is the reason why today you have so many problems in ministries. So I said that no, if that is the case, and the church that I am going will not train me, then I must find a way to train myself.
Hey, viewers, if the church that I'm going will not train me, then I must find a way to train myself. But sir, thank God you find the best way in training yourself.
Yeah, so I had a friend in Canada, Mrs. Buche, who told me that he's arranging for me to go to a school in Australia. So she sees I have a potential. But in the course of arranging for the school in Australia, I met Apostle Aka. And I bought his idea of having my training here. So I enrolled at the Universal Bible College and Seminary. And I did a diploma in biblical studies. Then I went further because I was a Sunday school teacher. I feel like I must broaden my knowledge. So I studied. I had also a chance to do my bachelor together with ministerial studies, so that I can be, in case I am a minister, I wouldn't have to go back to school.
Okay.
So I boxed the two. And then later I decided to take my master's in theology. And it went well. And today I see myself as somebody who is a teacher. And so a teacher must always update his mind. So I'm doing my doctoral program.
Great. Viewers, looking at our father sitting next to me, you can see he's no longer a young man. And he's still pursuing education. That tells you and I that you can also start. There is no excuse for you. Sir, you are talking about now you are pursuing a very higher degree. What will you tell the younger generation that are coming up? Because in the generation we are, once they can speak in tongues, it's a different ballgame. So what is your advice for those? Because by the time they can speak in tongues, they become even greater than their apostles and their bishops and their pastors. And I love what you said, that many ministers are managing ministries. So what will you tell the younger generation? Maybe someone who is a Sunday school teacher, an evangelist. Will you encourage them to get education?
Yes, it's because if you don't have the knowledge as to how things ought to be done, you are likely to mess things up. But when you have the knowledge, it sharpens your ability to perform better. So I would advise them that they should add knowledge to grace. You have the grace, yes, you can speak in tongues, yes, where you have every calling to operate in the church, yes, but add knowledge to that grace. Because it's the knowledge that will sharpen your performance.
In other words, if I may come in, that means grace without knowledge can cause catastrophe in ministry.
Disaster.
Wow. Grace without knowledge will cause disaster. And please, you and I can avoid future disaster. How do we avoid it? Enroll in the school. So, sir, tell us a little bit about the classroom experience. Maybe someone is watching and they want to enroll. Maybe they are living far away, because we have the school here in Vicenza, we have in Brescia, and maybe somebody is watching from Napoli, Palermo, Torino, and other regions. How can they also benefit from the school?
You see, when from the classroom level, personally, I have discovered that when students come in as fresh candidates, the way they see things change by day. As they continue to acquire the knowledge, their perception of things concerning the church and their relationship with God and how to relate to other people continues to upgrade. So you hear students making such remarks as, "I never knew of this before." And it gives you, as a teacher, it gives you joy that God has used you to update somebody's mind concerning certain things that he didn't have the right understanding. So we sharpen the minds of our students, and by the time they are out, you see that the joy of their performance. You see that joy in you, that God used you as his instrument to make somebody a better person than he used to be.
Great. Hello, viewers. Like I said earlier on, please share this video, like, comment, and also make sure you share this video not to less than 20 people. Let somebody benefit. Now I will go back to the Chancellor once again. Daddy, what will you say to men of God who are old? They are already in ministry. Will you encourage them to also teach their wealthy members, to also maybe give scholarship to some of the young men that they know they have the calling, but maybe financially they are incapable? Will you encourage that church leaders, wealthy members, should help people by giving them maybe scholarship to enroll in the seminary and the Bible college?
Yes, I would do, and I would encourage all the first-class leaders in churches and various, para churches and ministries to do that, because it's an investment. When you are able to give scholarship to somebody, because the school is not only in the classroom, it is online too. So wherever you are in any part of this world, you can enroll online, and the lecturers are there to teach you. I would entreat all leaders to give scholarship to their, let's say, sub-leaders to enroll in the school, in order for them to acquire knowledge, for them to come back to the churches to work. It makes you, the leader, your work to be easier. All right. Because the more they don't know, the more they frustrate you. But the more they know, the more they enhance the work, and you relax. Because right now, first-class leaders, I'm talking about founders, I'm talking about head pastors, I'm talking about head leaders. If you look at the rate at which these ones are dying, it's too much. Because of stress, people are dying, pastors are dying. Earlier than their destined ages. So I pray, and I am entreating all leaders, send your leaders to the Bible school for them to acquire knowledge and come back to your church, for them to move, for you to live longer. Thank you.
God bless you. Once again, you've heard from the Chancellor of the school. He has passed through the thin and the thick to make sure that the school is established. Please, the numbers you see on the screen, the website, enroll. Remember, you can do online courses no matter where you are. Enroll and it will help you. Now let me go back and ask you questions. So how was the tuition fee during your time?
Actually, if you are determined to go to the school, be ready to pay. But when you compare it to other schools, what we pay at Universal Bible College and Seminary is very low, very, very low, very low. Other schools are paying big sums of money, but here the idea and the motive is not the money, but to equip workers to serve in their ministries. So we charge something very small to take care of the expenses of the school, and that's why our rates are very low. It's not, the motive is not money, but to get as many people as possible to have the knowledge behind the grace we carry.
Correct. Viewers, once again, you've heard it. The tuition fee is very low. It's affordable. You can afford it. Some of you are spending higher money on iPhones and nice shoes, nice clothes, only to go to the church and do ha-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Get knowledge. Enroll. And it will move you from one step to the other. Now I will ask 2 more questions from our lecturer, then I will get back to the chancellor of the school. Sir, since you've been teaching, can you give one testimony of one of your students that you've taught and you've seen a great thing in their life or ministry?
Yes. I have this friend of mine, I call him my friend, I will not mention his name.
Great.
He was struggling with his ministry, seriously. And when he came to the school, I discovered that man needed extra attention. And so I gave him all the attention. Sometimes I have to attend to him 3 times in a week. And today, when he came out, he's a new person altogether. And his ministry is growing because he now has an idea of how he should get things done. Before then, people were coming in and they were going out. But today, because he knows how to move things, people come in and they remain. So his ministry is growing. And I also have an experience of one son of mine who actually cannot even speak good English. But the guy has a good retentive memory. So you teach him and the thing enters his head. And he is true. And this guy also started a ministry, and the ministry is also moving forward. So the school, it doesn't matter whether, even if you are not a highly educated person, we have people who will train you to be able to perform.
Great. We have people who are willing to train you so that you can perform. My last question is, what will you say about our chancellor for this great vision? Because I've lived in Italy for quite some time, and I know that these opportunities were never there. But glory be to God that our father was able to sacrifice himself, leaving everything, leaving the state. You know, I know how it feels to live in America and coming to live in Italy. So what will you say about the chancellor of the school? I want viewers a little testimony about our chancellor.
One thing I have noticed about him is that for someone to start such a big enterprise without money as his vision, people like that are hard to come by. Money is not his vision. His vision is to get as many people as possible to be equipped to do ministerial work. And I admire that he has impacted a lot personally on my life. And I have also learned a lot from my personal interactions with him. And he's someone, if he is teaching you, you can't have your own way. Because he wants you to have the right thing, which is in him. So you can't have your own way. And as much as you are humble enough, there are a lot that you can do for.
Great. In as much as you are ready and humble. Now I will come back to our father. Sir, with all your knowledge, with all your accomplishment, everybody is talking one specific thing about you. And I personally, I admire it so much. Your sense of humor, your humility, the way you receive people. Sir, is there any secret? Because for an average African man with the level in which you are will be so pompous, but your arms are open. And can you tell us, is there a secret?
The secret is the humility. Anyway, there are certain things that I really thank God for. There are what we call developmental, areas of your growth, and you see, what you pass through will shape you to be what you become in the future. And right from the beginning, from my mom, I thank God for her life. She didn't live long, but she imparted so much to me and my sister. And I had that also from her, always concerning humility. As young as I was, I didn't understand it. Then number two, as I was growing, I was reflecting on what she said and what she told me. Number three, God in his own wisdom, shaping somebody's life in such a way that life will never become easy for you. But if you don't have someone to mentor you into not taking the negativity of life as a curse upon you, but rather learning something good out of it, you become a different person. What I've passed through in life had really given me a foundation, and my foundation is humility. And it is something that money cannot buy, but you have to develop it. You have to make up your mind that this is what you want to do. And the way God shapes one through the Word of God and through life, the way you will pass through certain areas in life. I didn't have life easy. Not at all. Not at all. Very hard, very rough, very difficult. But in all this, I believe 100% that it has paid so much of in my life. And I am proud about it. And I testify everywhere I go of the goodness of God. It has imparted my life with humility and also having the hopes in life that there's something good about to come.
Great. So we are seeing the secret to our daddy's humility. And daddy, let me also ask, by special grace of God, we just heard from the lecturer of the school, who is also one of the fruits of your labor and impact. So in few words, what will you say to fathers of the land, founders of churches and ministries? Because now, even though you are no longer staying much here in Italy, but you've been able to impact people who are also impacting others. So what will you be your advice for founders of churches in the land and across the diaspora?
Paul said something that you, the members of the churches founded by him, you are our letters. So, leaders and founders, I really want to let you know that members that you impact, members that or people that you train, people that you develop, people that you produce are the evidence of your ministry. And I also want to say this, that yes, indeed, human beings are human beings. They are not tables. They will talk. So I would entreat you to forget about those that you try to develop and put your trust in it, and they have failed you. I pray that you wouldn't take that thing as a pain in so much that you forget about what you ought to do for others. No. I have faced several times, but the Lord spoke to me and let me know that it's part and parcel of life. You will meet those that would appreciate, and you meet those that will not appreciate. But those that will not appreciate does not stop you, from doing what you ought to do. So all leaders, all founders, continue to be good, continue to produce people, continue to impact the lives of people, because ministry is about people. It is not about painting your church buildings and putting new carpets and buying new instruments. It's about the people inside. So people should be your goal. People should be your emphasis. And the more you produce them towards achieving their goals in life, the more you are happy. And may the Lord bless all founders, but at the same time, I pray that they would also continue to do what they have been called to do. There are many leaders in Ghana that are doing fantastically, good. I'm telling you. There are many leaders also on this land, Italy. They are doing fantastically good, but many are not. And those that are not doing what they are supposed to do because of one or two things that happen in their lives, I pray that forget about it. And the devil will use certain people to, cause all kinds of hurt, bitterness, and pain in order to stop you. But I think the devil did not call you. It is God that called you. So move ahead, look forward, and do what you're supposed to do.
Great. Viewers, the Chancellor said one thing that actually touched my heart. The proof of your ministry is not how beautiful your auditorium is, but rather the impact you've made. As we can all see, from the north to the south, east and west, our Father is making impact. He's making impact. You can also follow his steps. Now let me come back again. At present time, where can you be found? Which church are you presently heading as the apostle? Can you tell us a little bit about the church, so that maybe when people are looking for you, we can locate you?
Okay. Presently, I'm in Ghana and living in Tema, on the 25, and with my family. For years I left them to be here in Europe, impacting people's lives, and it's not been easy. But at a point, God told me that it is enough. You finished your assignment. Leave it for somebody to continue and go back home. And I went home, rejoined my family fantastically. And the Lord, by His own grace, through obedience, also brought me to Baptist International Church. And it is there right now that I am the general overseer. And the church also has other branches in Ghana. And we are sited and situated at Cambodia, County 20 in Tema. It is not far from the main Accra, region. Let's say the environs, okay. And it's a place, as I said earlier on, that we gather people, develop them, and produce them. So it is as if it's a continuation of what I've been doing in Italy and going back home to do through the church. And it is a very Pentecostal and charismatic Baptist church. And we embrace everybody. We welcome everybody. And when you enter into the church, definitely you'll be helped to find your area, so that from there we develop you. And that is the main focus of the church. It's a very wonderful place to be.
Great.
Yeah, and I really love that. In my, let's say, the ending of my ministry in life, the Lord has brought me to a place that I really enjoy, and I'm so happy with them.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Viewers, so when you are in Ghana Baptist International Church, right in Community 20, Tema, please, the numbers will be on your screen. The great church is the church that is you are seeing on the screen. And also some of the pictures you are seeing on the screen are some of the graduates who graduated from UBCS across the globe. It's such an amazing school. Please enroll. I repeat, enroll. And Daddy, let me ask maybe a few questions that will bring it to a close. You traveling around Europe, and let me not go outside Italy. What is your greatest burden for the land of Italy in terms of the gospel? Your greatest burden?
Thank you for this question. And there are a lot that have been achieved within the parameters of the mandate that God gave to me by the Bible school. But there are many, about 80% have not been done at all by the churches in Italy and, sorry to say, in Europe. I am still burdened with the fact that we are not reaching out to the Europeans. I'm still burdened that we are within our own selves. We are reaching out to our own people in the diaspora. We are blacks and reaching out to blacks. And we are not going beyond our borders. And so the whites look at us, they don't understand what we are doing in the church room. And sometimes they believe that we may be doing something clandestine. All right. So sometimes they send the police to come around to see what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we are not, you know, one thing about what I call reverse mission, that is blacks taking the gospel to Europeans. What we are not doing is that we know that we are in Europe. Okay. And I am among those that have been stationed permanently here by God through any means. Reverend, I don't care whether you came by air, by sea, or by land. As long as you are on Europe, on the land of Europe, you have arrived.
That's right.
Okay? And God has purposes for everybody. And one of the purposes is to reach out. Those that are called into the ministry are to the people that are to reach out. And my problem is that, number one, to be able to reach out to people on the land is to learn their language. And many are not learning the language. You know, you need to mix up with their culture so that they can identify with you, so that what you have, when you say or you tell them, they can take it. But meanwhile, language has become a barrier. Now, culture has been, you know, like rejected by the blacks, all right? And we have formed a misconception about these whites. But what we do is that we group among ourselves in the church, whilst the whites are there, and you look at all these ones that are going to perish. So the question is, why did God bring you here? It's a burden on my heart. It's a burden on my heart. Now, I can understand that if you are already old, like lecturer, Reverend Opare, you are old enough. You know, he's over 60 years and he's still learning. All right. He was my direct student. That is my product. If I forget about everybody, he's my product. Now, what I imparted to him, he's imparting to others. Now, what I say is that since I'm not permanently here, my ability to reach out may not be the same as those that are permanently here. And again, if you are old enough and your ability to be able to speak the language of the land is not there, what about your son? What about your daughter? What about your child? Because the children on this land have gone to school with the whites, so they speak their language, they eat their food, they dress their dress, they go along with them. Impart into your children. Then for the children to take over the work that was assigned to you. You understand?
Yes.
And so that it becomes easier. No matter how we are fading out as the how to call it, the people that entered into the land first, no matter how we are fading off, the second generation, the third generation should take up the mandate. God is going to come down. Jesus Christ is coming. We don't know when, but he said, occupy till I come. You are occupying with what? Remember, my brethren, you have not been stationed back in Africa. You've been stationed here, and there's a mandate on your shoulders. Reach out. I'm not saying leave the blacks, but the real reason, if it were to be the blacks alone that God called you to,
remain in Africa.
Remain in Africa. You see, God is looking at these Europeans, they are perishing. So this is where my one major burden. Thank you.
Wow. One of our daddy's major burden. It's like interglobalism is not working at all. We are facing one particular people, neglecting the people we need to face. And that there is one thing I do see almost in most of the major cities here in Italy. The unity among pastors is like there is a big breakage. And as a father, I know, personally, I know you've been able to, amend so many broken relationships. In few words, what will be your advice? Because in Ghana, there is this parable that if you take one broomstick, it cannot sweep the compound. But when it comes together, in few minutes you can clear. But there is this breakage among ministers. In few words, what will be your advice for cities, for men of God to come together? What will be your few advice?
It's one of the things that I came on the land also to tackle alongside the Bible school. So that is the reason why I organize a lot of seminars and workshops for pastors and bishops and other workers in the church. By God's grace, I've brought 2 fighting churches together.
Great.
I've brought ministers that are at loggerheads with one another together. My thing, I think you said it all. It is the strategy of the enemy to create misunderstanding and all kinds of disunity amongst the ministers. And understanding this area will squash off the enemy strategy, and together we can move forward. But it is so difficult that they look at tribalism, and they begin to say all sorts of things and move away from each other. It's as if what we were doing in Africa, they brought it here. And they don't understand that it is this very thing that the enemy is standing on as a strategy to break off the impact of the church. And one church cannot do it all. I am praying that by this, the ministers on the land, especially Italy, please come together. Forget about who did this to me, who did that to me. Forget about who said this against me, who said it. What wasn't said about me? Letters were written around, destroying me. I never destroyed anybody. I never confronted anybody. So learn to overcome these side issues and this kind of negativity. You are a man of God, you are a woman of God. And the Bible says, Jesus said, woe unto you if everybody says you are good. So when you have somebody saying something bad about you, it shouldn't affect you at all. You should know that yes, indeed, I'm getting qualified in the eyes of God. And whatever they say about you, if it's correct, stop it. If it's not correct, move on. Let's come together as one, and the devil will put in a hot chase, because the devil is afraid of the church. Let's come together. Unity means power. Thank you.
Great. We would like lecturer of the school, to tell us your little experience about ministries here in Italy.
Like the apostle said before, ministry is growing, but it needs to be refined. Our operations need to be refined. And the more we do that, the more we can create impact. I also buy the idea of getting our children, imparting on our children, because they naturally interact with society. And so, with that natural impartation, the message will be sent across. I personally have some people in my workplace where they come to me, they ask questions, and I respond. I remember there was this man who was having a talisman around his hand, and he covered it with his dress. Unfortunately, the talisman fell.
Okay.
At our place of work, and everybody was afraid, including the white people, to go and pick the talisman and throw it away. So they say, Pastor, you are here. If you don't save us, this talisman is going to do something to us. So I went and picked the talisman. I prayed over it and threw it into the trash. And the white people came and asked me, are you not afraid? So there's nothing inside. Are you not the people who brought the church to us? Yeah. And you are still afraid of things like this. So from there, they started inquiring, why is it that you are not afraid of something like this? So it becomes an opportunity for me to start reaching out.
Great.
So the experience is many. Among our people, also you enter a church, somebody has a small gift, and the next day he's breaking off. When God plants you under a shepherd, he gives you the grace to support the work he's doing, not to leave. So if you go under, you break away from him, and he is the one that God has planted you to operate under him, you are going out to fail.
Hey.
So from our own side, I think that people must learn to know that what makes us Christian.
So, sir, that brings me to another question. So, if when people are called, are there processes before leaving? Maybe you are in your ministry, and I'm having this feeling or this sense that God is calling me for a ministry. Are there processes, or I just carry my Bible and pick one or two members of the church that are my close friends and say, well, our senior pastor, let's go and start our own? Are there processes?
You see, when God calls somebody, he makes it possible for people around him to identify the calling. So that if God has really called you to go and start your own ministry, the process is not to go do it through anger. Speak to your head pastor. If God has really called you, I'm sure that eventually he will understand, and you require his blessing to be able to succeed where you are going.
But many people believe that God have called me, I don't need any man's blessing. God, he pours his rain both on the evil and the good. So I am due, I'm gone.
Otherwise, Jesus Christ will not humble himself for John to baptize him and to usher him into ministry. Jesus Christ himself was ushered into ministry by somebody in the ecclesiastical class. He allowed himself to be passed through that process. So to say that I have a calling, I don't need anybody to bless me, it's a lack of understanding.
Viewers, as we are bringing it to a close, let me give this last question to our father and we'll bring it to a close. Daddy, those who mistakenly fell under what our lecturer said, out of anger, left to establish their own ministries, are there ways for reconciliation, to reconcile back with their senior pastors that they serve under? And how should also the senior pastors see them if they should make a move for reconciliation.
Okay. I've done quite a lot of reconciliations, sometimes to thank God for what the lecturer said. I may also come from the side of the senior pastors or the leaders. Sometimes to lack of understanding of the area of release it also causes these younger ones to live with anger. And he said, if God has called you, you shouldn't bring an anger for you to separate yourself. But for the senior minister to understand that there's a time and a moment that I need to release. Okay, they would not understand it. They would want to keep the people that God has called them out from your ministry. They want to keep them, and it becomes one thing or another. So it is. I look at it as both from both sides. I pray that they will understand as we are talking about this, because there are many cases that I have also solved by His grace, and coming back from the senior ministers to the younger ones, it takes processes, it takes time, it takes prayer. There are certain things you don't need to push it by yourself. You didn't call yourself
at all.
He that called you would definitely, if he said he has called you under the first leader, stay. It is not every calling that says go. All right. Isaac was never called to go out. He was called to stay, and he was blessed. There are some that are called to help the first leader because God knows that he's fading out, and there are some that are called to go out. And we need to understand all these ones, okay, so that we make it easier. And those that are gone already with all sorts of anger and confusion and all sorts of things, the best thing for you to be blessed is to find your way back and reconcile. Do your best by yourself. If it doesn't happen, find another person, a senior minister, to intermediate, okay, or immediate, and so that you would have a very good relationship with your senior minister, who at some time ago trained you, okay, and so that you have the peace of God in doing your work. Right. So I pray that these things, it is rampant in church, but I pray that we would have the wisdom in solving all these things.
Viewers, we are bringing it to a close. A last word for our viewers.
Thank you, viewers all around the world, that the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you for listening and watching. And it is my prayer that wherever you've fallen short, rise up again, make amendments, reconcile, and move forward. It's a blessing to be at peace with all men, if it is possible. Number 2, find ways and means to enroll to acquire knowledge. Knowledge will enhance your skill. Number 3, be with the Lord, listen to the Lord, and be obedient and humble yourself. There is no height that you cannot attain. May God richly bless you. Thank you.
Viewers, God bless you. Remember, if you are watching out for some of the seminars being organized by our daddy, as you follow this channel, most of our posters will be on this channel. Anytime he's in town, he's a very scarce man. We are just privileged to have him today. Today he's in UK, Ghana, America, Nigeria, and all over. But I know our next seminar, wherever you are, please, when you hear a seminar is coming up, register and be part, and the Lord will bless you. Answer your few words, your last word before we bring the interview to a close.
My last word is simple. People in ministry must acquire knowledge for ministry, because ministry is threatened. grace, knowledge, and wisdom. You need all three. Thank you.
Wow. Ministry is three things: grace, wisdom, and knowledge. You need all. So don't say I'm under grace, so I don't need wisdom. Don't say I'm under grace, I don't need knowledge. The three goes together. Maxwell J Media. Please, in case you are doing any occasion and you need us, you can invite us. We are always ready for anyone that needs us. But remember, the purpose of this station is to be a blessing to the people around the world. We are not a media that come to insult, but rather we are hanging with great fathers, as you can see today. Please make sure you share this video so that somebody watching can also be blessed. Please share the video, comment, like, and subscribe. Viewers, once again, I'm your host, George Bachman. From our team, from my CEO, Mr. Maxwell J, we say remain blessed. See you soon. God bless you.